What's going on, guys? RVZ Stealth here, and in today's video I have, in my opinion, the best supports for Season 4, Patch 4.13. First up, I have Alistar. Pros to Alistar are he has great peel with his headbutt and his pulverize. He has good disengage with those things as well. He has good engage with his WQ combo. He has good sustain in lane with his heal. His ultimate is pretty OP at the moment. It gives you 70% reduced damage taken at rank 1, which is really insane. And that with like health and armor and magic resist makes him insanely tanky late game as well as early game. He has great CC with his pulverize and his headbutt. Cons to Alistar are his WQ combo can be hard to land, and he can get poked easy in lane. And Morgana counters him pretty hard because whoever Alistar's targeting, she just has to put her black shield on them and all of his crowd control is negated. Next I have Leona. Pros to Leona are she has great engage with her E, Q, and then her ult. She has an amazing ultimate and it's on a really short cooldown, so it will be out for almost every team fight, and if you can get her ultimate on a couple targets, then it's really gonna help you win the fight. She synergizes well with a lot of champions, like Jinx for example. When Leona E's and then Q's, Jinx throws her flame chompers behind the champion and then they can't really get out. She's pretty easy to play and she's extremely tanky with her W and with all the resists that she builds. Cons to Leona are she has little disengage. Once she goes in, she's basically not backing out, so you have to be careful about when you engage and make sure that your teammates are following up with you. She has no sustain in lane, and once again, like Alistar, she's countered pretty hard by Morgana, because whoever she jumps on, Morgana just plants her black shield on that champion and all of her crowd control is negated. Next up, I have Thresh. Pros to Thresh are he has insane CC. Every one of his abilities is a crowd control ability, except of course his lantern. He has great engage with his hook. He has good disengage with his flay and his ultimate. And his lantern can be used to save teammates, which is probably one of the best non-ultimate abilities in the game. It can be such a game changer. If your teammates get caught or something, you can just save them really easily with your lantern. And his passive makes him do a lot of damage and become really tanky late game. Cons to Thresh are he has a skill shot based engage with his hook, so sometimes it's not very reliable and it's hard to land. He has no sustain in lane, and nerfs to his ultimate and his lantern hurt him a little bit. His ultimate no longer deals damage if the champion passes through 2 of the pieces of his ultimate. It only does damage for the first piece, and if they go through a second one, it just slows them. And the nerfs to his lantern, it only shields one of his teammates, not every single one that he plants it on. Next up, I have Braum. Pros to Braum are his passive is still really strong. It gives him a 1.75 second stun, which is really good for a passive ability. If you can get that off on, if you can get your passive procced on every champion in a team fight, then it just makes for a really strong team fight oriented champion. His ultimate is really good for team fights as well. It can lock down an area and you can catch out enemies with it. His shield can be such a game changer. It can block, it's like Yasuo's wind wall. It can block like a Nami ultimate, a Jinx rocket, a Caitlyn ultimate, and his shield can also negate a lot of damage, which is, I'd say it's a little bit OP. And his engage is pretty good with his ultimate as well. He has great sticking power with his Q that gives him a massive slow, so he can really stick to his opponents with the slow and his passive. He has good disengage with his ultimate and the slow on his Q. and he scales with HP, so the more health he buys, the more damage he will do, which is really strong. And he's probably one of the easiest supports to play. There's not much to him. So cons to Braum are Morgana, of course. He cannot stun the opponent that he has his passive procced on if Morgana plants her black shield on them. And recent nerfs to Braum hurt him a little bit, especially his ultimate. The fact that they no longer are slowed for 1.5 seconds after leaving his ultimate is a pretty big nerf. They're only slowed for 0.25 seconds now after leaving his ultimate, so that's a pretty big nerf to Braum. So my best support for Season 4 patch 4.13 is Morgana. Pros to Morgana are her black shield, of course. It pretty much counters all CC supports in the game, which most of the other supports are at the moment. Her binding lasts, it seems like, forever when you get caught in it, and you can catch people out really easily with her binding, making it a game-changing ability. She has great peel with her binding and her ultimate, and she has great pick potential, like I said, with her binding. Her ultimate is really good for team fights, and it can be used to just zone your opponents away from your carries, and as well as just locking them up and making sure that they can't deal damage to your high priority targets. And she synergizes well with Spellthief's Edge because she can proc it every time she just plants down her Tormented Soil, and of course every time she gets an auto attack or her binding. Cons to Morgana are she is vulnerable without her black shield, so you have to make sure you use it wisely because when it's down, that's the time for your enemy to jump on your carry. She is very squishy, so building a Zhonya's is kind of a must on Morgana, and that takes away from her support items. It'll take her longer to buy, like, for example, a Mikhail's Crucible. So if you don't buy Zhonya's on Morgana, though, then she'll probably get bursted down before her ultimate will even stun the target. So Zhonya's is a pretty big item on her, and it kind of takes away from the support items that most supports would like to build. So honorable mentions for this patch are Zyra, Sona, and Nami. They are all pretty good supports, however, I think Nami is more of a harder to play champion, and she's kind of a riskier pick. If you can't land her bubble, then she's not a very good support because her bubble is pretty much all of her CC pre-6. However, she does have sustain, so she's a very strong pick if you can land your bubble. Sona is also a pretty strong pick. Her ultimate is really good for team fighting, and she has good sustain like Nami. And Zyra is also a pretty strong pick. Because of her ultimate, it can be used to disengage, it can be used to engage, and she also has good poke in lane, so she's good at zoning her opponents. So that is pretty much it, guys, for this video. If you enjoyed, then be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions why I didn't include a certain champion in this video, then be sure to ask me in the comments below, and I will get back to you on that. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video.